I've got a little clicker that starts my video. It doesn't work very well. So if you ever hear any clicking in the video, I'm trying to make the video do something. Anyway, good morning, everybody. I just finished my hour of meditation, and excuse the bedhead I've got going on, but I did name my page Courageous Transparency for a reason. And I'll tell you guys that reason. I did it because I think that and especially now, I think it's getting worse and worse in our society, how people put on a mask and put on a front. And I think it's good to put your best foot forward, but not in a way to deceive people around you that you are somebody that you're not, or you're feeling a way that you're not. I just recently learned about a personality trait called, it just slipped my mind. Compartmentalizing. That's what it was. And at first I had an opinion about compartmentalizing, like, oh, it's really bad, and you can't just like control and manipulate your feelings. Well, the majority of men do it, and they kind of have to do it because of the way that they were raised in today's society. Shove your feelings down. You don't have feelings. Don't be emotional. Don't any of that other. So my first feeling on the compartmentalization was, oh, it's just kind of a way to shut yourself down. It's another way to like control and manipulate your experience. But I think a little bit of compartmentalization is actually good. I really do. Because sometimes there's stuff going on that you can't deal with in the moment. Stuff like, say you're fighting with your significant other and now you've got to go to work, and if you can't compartmentalize the fact that, then it's going to affect your entire work day and everything about your day, as well as the more that you sit there and overthink about what actually happened, the more you're creating a story that's going to make the incident actually bigger than it was. So I think a little bit of compartmentalization is really good in the sense that, leave stuff at home, leave stuff at work. If you bring work home with you and the ick and the busyness and the masculine energy of it, then you're going to affect people at home. So I think a little bit of compartmentalization is actually really good. But as a general rule, I feel like it's really important for us to just start showing up as human beings. If we're in a moment where we're experiencing anxiety or stress or anything like that, if we were to just say to the people around me, I'm feeling overwhelmed, or say to your significant other, I'm feeling unloved today, then it gives the people around us the permission to do exactly the same. As well as, I want to be courageously transparent because I think there's something beautiful and magnetic and just freeing about being around people who just show up and they're just there. And Kyle Cease talks a lot about when you're completely open-hearted, your heart is just like completely open to receive and love and do all of this stuff. That's actually the safest place to be. And it seems really weird to say that. It is really true. When my heart is open to whatever's going on in the situation, not only do I have a bad experience, have a better experience with the people around me, and they open their hearts and they talk to me from that place. But I can't get hurt there. This is a difficult one to explain. There's a lot of experiences I've been having lately that are just simply aha moments that I'm not explaining to anyone else, but I'm simply embodying, if that makes any sense. Oh, my hair looks so crazy, it's driving me nuts. Don't look at the camera. Anyway, so like I said, these are going to be ramblings, so I'm totally rambling here, but I could feel myself in the meditation today wanting to control it. I wanted there to be a stream of consciousness that would just bring some wonderful thing to you guys. And instead, I had a barking dog. The whole time. I just recently moved into this place about 6 months ago, and I have a neighbor who has 2 Saint Bernards that they do not take care of. They're manged, they bark all the time, and they're never allowed in the house. So I feel really bad for the dogs, but on the same hand, they just create so much insanity in my brain. I'm like, I'm gonna go postal and do something all bizarre. So I guess that's what needs to be talked about, is dealing with things that really grate on your last nerve and you have no control over, and how to maintain a space of presence and awareness and connectivity in those moments when you just want to strangle somebody or something, an animal in my case. So I've learned about resistance. I did a meditation series on acceptance. And truly what they taught you the whole time was about resistance. Who or what am I resistant to in life right now? That was a really phenomenal 10 days in my life. I would ask myself that question every morning. And I can't say that the dogs don't bother me, but they don't bother me nearly as bad now that I'm aware of my resistance to them. And as long as I have resistance, I don't have acceptance. That's what the series was teaching. There was a huge shift in me when I reached that point, because when I was going through that 10 days of meditation, because I was finding that not only did I think I knew what I was resistant to in my life, that I really didn't know. The first couple of days I asked the question, my mind just automatically answered it like, oh, I know what you're resistant to. About the 3rd or 4th day, the truth really came up about what I was actually resistant to, which was very freeing, very freeing. Because then I could look at the actual thing and be like, why are you resistant to this? And I could play it all the way through. What if this? What if that? What if this? And I also had read or listened to a video during that 10 days that talked about what else could it mean. This one really resonated with me because there is this needing to know what everything means and why everybody did what they did and why they're behaving this way and why they're going to behave that way. And many people call me nosy. I like to use the word curious because it sounds a lot less negative, and I am naturally a very curious person about many things, how things are made and how people feel, and just curious. So I was always making up stories in my head, always like, oh, well, they said this and that's what it meant. That's what they meant by it, and they're so rude, or it means he doesn't love me, or it means she doesn't like me, and so I had heard this little, and I think actually it was Tony Robbins who I was listening to when he was talking about, when you go to that place where you're trying to make up a story about something, you need to also ask, what else could it mean? That was huge for me. So the first week or so that I was practicing this technique, the first couple of days I would get lost in my little stories in my head. And then I would remember, oh, what else could it mean? And so then I would start like, well, what if it meant this? Or it could mean this, or it could mean that. And the biggest thing I learned the first week or two of doing that exercise is that as I started to figure out what else it meant, the emotional part of me didn't feel so attached to what I thought it meant. And then about 2 weeks into trying this technique, I think my mind realized that it doesn't know what anything really means. And so I would think, what else does it mean? And then immediately everything would leave. My mind wouldn't be like, well, what if it means this, or it could mean this, or it could mean that, you know? But let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Say I'm, you know, making dinner for my significant other. And typically he usually helps me with dinner. And this time he comes into the kitchen and he sees that I'm cooking, and he talks to me about that I'm cooking and that it all smells good, and then he goes in and he sits down on the couch. This is where the what could it mean comes in. Why did he just go sit on the couch? What's that mean? He doesn't care that I'm in here doing this? He doesn't care that I'm slaving over this stove? What does he think, it's just my responsibility to do it for him? He's so rude. Okay, well, when you do what else could it mean, then you go through this whole other thing. Okay, it could mean he felt like he was in the way. Maybe I had everything so under control that he didn't feel like there was anything to do. What if his belly hurts? What if his back hurts? What if his legs hurt? What if he just needs to sit down? What if he knows inside of him he's in such a bad space that if he's in my space for too long, he'll make mine bad too? There's an example of what else could it mean. I just don't even tell myself stories anymore. When I don't hear from my significant other all day long, I'm not like, oh, he's talking to some other woman, or he just doesn't like me today, or obviously he needed some space because he's not trying to be close to me. My mind doesn't go to any of those places. I don't even do the other side of it, which is he could be really busy. His phone could have died. Because now I just know. And I don't spend any time in that thought process whatsoever. None. Because I don't know what it means. And that's been extremely freeing. So, anyway, I think I might be done rambling today. This one was pretty long. 12 and a half minutes long. Anyway, happy Tuesday, and I really hope that there was some insightful information in here for somebody today. And if there wasn't, at least you know that you too can get on camera with bed hair. Hope everybody has a happy Tuesday. Thanks for joining me and sharing my experience with me today.